soon. Now we are live.
Live. Hello and welcome to the Wisdom Factory. We've been broadcasting for more than 2 years now, and today we are continuing into our 4th season,
which is called Conscious Aging.
Exactly. And we are all aging, so regardless of how old you are, we appreciate your comments and your feedback from your own life perspective.
Mm-hmm. And today, unfortunately, we have no chat possibility yet, but next time, I'm very sure we'll have one. But if you want to have a chat live in the moment, you can go to the Wisdom Factory community on Google+, where you can also watch and leave your comments there so we can monitor them.
And we also offer an after-show chat in our Facebook group, which is called Mastermind Integral Aging. Put that in your brain, Masterminding Integral Aging. Okay. And we'll repeat this later too.
Yeah.
So to present ourselves briefly, I am Mark Davenport, and I have a background in education, teaching, and also in drug and alcohol counseling, which did for many years. And you are?
I'm Heidi Hörnlein. I have a background. I've done much in my life. I am a voice coach, authentic voice coach. And I'm a singer, and I am somebody who really loves to help other people come into visibility. So I've done counseling and coaching schools, and I enjoy to work with people who want to come out and be seen in the world. And that's what I have learned, so I'm now.
And I'm her first success story.
Yeah, and the Wisdom Factor is our contribution to the ongoing emergence of the world by bringing together people who have experience, knowledge, and wisdom to share with us all. And you can follow us on Facebook and Google+, and you can find all the information, including the live streaming and everything, personal pages of our guests on thewisdomfactory.net.
And this is our 4th episode out of 20, with 19 guests confirmed, plus a final panel discussion for many of them when we finish the series in April. But today, we are very happy to present Hans Parge, a native of Cologne, Germany. His family migrated to Ireland, where he attended Trinity College and earned a BA in physical chemistry and a PhD in X-ray. I stumbled on that twice today. X-ray crystallography. Then they moved back to Germany, and he eventually found himself in San Diego now for more than 30 years. And you can perhaps tell already that Hans is overqualified for this show. Say hello, Hans.
Hello, everybody.
Okay. Well, there he became an expert researcher into the atomic structures of proteins. And in the 90s, he joined a startup firm which applied his knowledge to the drug discovery process. And he continues his involvement in the pharmaceutical field until 2009. Since then, while reaching into his own 6th decade, I guess it would be 7th decade, wouldn't it? Yeah, okay.
Don't say how old you are. It's a big no, at least for women. We never say how old we are.
Okay. Well, for men, we gain more authority.
Okay, good.
Yeah. He's formed a life health consulting business called Reset Aging with Science, and he works on the goal of dying young as late in life as possible. He has written many technical papers, and now we're going to dare to ask him, after any corrections or additions he'd like to add to our introduction, to tell us what his years of work have been leading him up to. And then we'll ask some easier questions afterward. Well, Hans, would you like to take the floor for a bit?
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank both you, Mark, and Heidi for the opportunity to enter with you in this conversation. It's always it's always nice not to be a vox clamantis in deserto, or a voice crying in the wilderness, and meeting people who have similar interests in sharing wisdom. And I think the Wisdom Factory, you should be lauded for what you do. The introduction was spot on. To answer the difficult question, what has it all been leading to, is a question that we always ask at all stages of life. What is it all about? And very few of us are lucky to know at the very early age what is work, artists being one of them. I sort of stumbled into chemistry, I stumbled into crystallography. My life began when that work was turned on to looking at the molecules of life. It was in the early 80s, where I had an EMBO fellowship to the Free University in Berlin. And that went on for 16 or more years. Actually going then to San Diego to study further, and then being lucky to be able to apply that esoteric structure determination technology to have some maybe impact on developing a drug that might be of use to people who are sick. So as you said, it's all sort of stumbling into the next phase of life by happenstance. And in 2009, I stumbled into the world of wellness and prevention on a suggestion of a friend who is an MD, PhD, and I have not looked back. And I think that, you know, we all build on the foundation that we've had before. The really aha moment came when I listened to a TED talk in 2009 by Deepak Chopra and Dean Ornish, where there were some alarming statistics about all of the diseases that are preventable. 75%, according to Dean Ornish, of what ails us is preventable with lifestyle choices. So that's then where I have made my bed, as it were, knowing what has come before. Does that kind of answer your question? The difficult question?
Well, that's a good start. I think we could probably fill the hour on that. But I was sort of taken aback by your term earlier, termination technology. Doesn't very good in the context of aging, for example.
Termination, no, structure determination.
Structure. Thank you. That sounds better. Okay.
So basically, for the people who are not familiar with X-ray crystallography, it is the application of X-rays shone on crystals that allows us to work back to what the atomic structure of matter is. So all of the information that we have about distances between atoms, the shapes of molecules, whether they be small or large, come from that particular technology.
Okay.
And interestingly, when I wrote my PhD, a classical scholar who was a German classical scholar, gave me the little title of my, or the little dedication or a phrase at the beginning of my PhD, which was from Democritus. Nothing exists except atoms and empty space. All else is opinion.
Okay. Well, I hope that lasts through this century too, but the way physics is going, you never know what they'll determine as what lasts. Yeah.
So I would like to ask you, you are now going to a conference, contributing to a conference about aging in some way. So could you talk a little bit about that, what the goal is and what dragged you there?
What dragged you there? Okay.
Yeah. So 5 years ago, I entered into partnership with a company around a specific technology that measures our rate of aging on the inside. And my contribution to the conference, which is called the American Academy for Anti-Aging Medicine. This is their 24th annual meeting here in Las Vegas. My contribution is as an exhibitor to introduce physicians and healthcare professionals to that technology, and how and possibly educate them onto how they can incorporate that nutritional wellness technology into their practice. Because and the theme of this year's conference is redefining medicine. And I think over the last 7 years of being in this field, you can continually see the shift to prevention, proactive prevention. And it's always interesting that we don't ever do anything until it becomes painful from a monetary point of view. And the realization that we cannot continue, at least in the American world, we cannot continue to medicate lifestyle mismanagement out of ignorance more than a determined malfeasance. We have to encourage people to take the more difficult step of taking a consciousness-based approach to their life. And they can only do that, in my opinion, when they have the data and they have the information to be able to make an informed decision.
Excuse me. Go ahead. Two things I would like to ask you. The one is, you said there is an instrument which can measure how old your body is?
Well, it basically shoots. So I'm glad that you brought that up. It is a proprietary technology based on Nobel Prize winning science that uses the measurement of an antioxidant family of molecules in your tissue to show what is the stress, the oxidative stress that the tissue is under. You're not going to ever wipe out the oxidative stress in your body, because that's what we also use to fight disease. But the unbalance of that, actually the easiest way to think of it is if you cut an apple in half and you take one half and you cover it with vitamin C, which is a soluble antioxidant, and the other half you leave unprotected. What happens to the unprotected half?
It gets
and if you wait a day and don't cover the protected half again with lemon juice, what happens to it eventually?
It takes, yeah.
So you apply that same daily protection to your tissues of life, your whole system will live healthier. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. You know, I had cancer, and my brother is also a doctor in preventive medicine, and he's antioxidants, and that was the first time I heard about it. And since then, I'm very careful in taking antioxidants as much as possible. We have every day vitamin C and much vegetables and fruits. We have a cat here. Yeah. It's a little disturbing. It's a blind cat.
So she doesn't know she's on camera.
And there was something else now with the cat. I forgot it, what I wanted to ask. Oh, no, it was before what I wanted to ask. Go ahead. No. Maybe you have something. Or do you want to add something on that? Because I find it extremely interesting. Now I know what I wanted to say. You said information, bring out the information to the people and so on, what is good living and eating and so on. I think this is very, very, very important. But out of my own experience, I know that information alone is not enough. When we have so habits and so, let's say, psychological stress, and we think when we eat the next chocolate or drink the next beer, this would be alleviating the present situation. We don't need to face our feelings or our sadness, whatever it is. And so, although we know it better, we don't do it. What can you say to that? How can we finally do something better?
Well, Heidi, that is a very powerful question, and in 2012, Science had a huge focus. The Science magazine, there are two very prestigious journals, Science and Nature. So Science had a whole article on prevention and asked exactly that same question. How is it that we know? Why is it that it is so difficult when we know what we should be doing to prevent these diseases? How come that we can't do that? And there was a very early on in my journey, I read a book that was published by the CEO of Kaiser Permanente called The Epidemic of Cure. And there's a wonderful little review if people just Google Epidemic of Care, actually, Epidemic of Care. And it quotes this guy, and I'm going to read it from my cell phone here, a guy called René Dubois. To ward off disease or recover health, men and women, as a rule, find it easier to depend on healers than to attempt the more difficult task of living wisely. So
that answers it.
it is a human condition. So one of my bosses when I was at Pfizer, her father was a physician, very, very talented lady, commented to me that her father once said to her that the best gift that we could give to our children is to recover from a socially acceptable, life-threatening disease early on in life. Because only then do we recalibrate our approach to what I would call that miracle machine. Mm-hmm. Not that I would wish pain on anyone, but there I think is the motivation to live a more consciousness-based approach to life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think what you say, can I still say something? Because I'm often taking
as long as he keeps answering, it's fine with me.
I think it comes to the point really how we educate our children, how we were educated, how we were, treated. As long as it was in our family, when you are ill, you get some attention from other. When you're not, nobody cares. That was a very normal way of being, and I think it still is. Mm-hmm. So in later years, you might prefer to be ill to get the compassion of other people instead of being healthy. It might even get envy mm-hmm. of others. So it's difficult to find the right way. I mean, when you had the right way by guidance, then it's more easy, but because you are already there. But when you have the decision, I mean, for instance, my uncle, he smoked and smoked and smoked and smoked. And every morning he had to cough for 2 hours before he could speak. At the end, he had a vein in his leg transplanted, and then he stopped smoking, but he died half a year later. So, and he was a chemist and an educated person. That's not the thing that why don't you do it when you know it? No? Mm-hmm. So I think we have to go to include this psychological predicament in which most of us, and you said it's a human condition, yes, but also very much reinforced by society, I guess.
It's interesting that you should say that, because, you know, you could call me a born-again non-smoker because I smoked for all of my life. I knew as a thinking person what are the consequences, but somewhere in the back you think it will not happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
You just think you're immune. And as you pointed out also, that people like the attention. And early on when I started this business of wellness and prevention, I met a physician who said, here's the way the society breaks down, Hans. 20% of our people love being sick because the attention that it gives them. The other 60% really don't care. They will wait for the healers to fix what they've just broken. And then the remaining 20% are the people who are actively choosing a lifestyle, a wise lifestyle of prevention.
Mm-hmm.
If we can switch the 20% of the prevention to 21%, 22%, 23%, 24%, you know, year over year, I think we will, as a society, have a healthier profile.
What if the doctors were paid for the health of people and not for the illnesses?
That's also a very good point. A friend of mine who I met, she's a young student of bioengineering, sent me a YouTube video which talks specifically that point. We have a disease management engine that we have, and as such, we are feeding that engine. You know? But really, if you look at in that little film, which is about an hour and 16 minutes, I haven't seen all of it, but the beginning of it is, we spend in America $2.7 trillion on healthcare. Now, I'm not sure whether that was last year or this year. 2.7 trillion, 300 billion on pharmaceutical drugs, which, you know, it was my industry, and I have nothing bad to say about a drug that actually saves a person's life. But from a purely monetary point of view, that's something that cannot continue to go. And from the physicians who are in, most of the physicians that you talk to, you ask them why did they go into it. It's not to make money off disease, yes, but they're treating the 80%. The 80%, remember that. So am I going to, so who do we blame? Who's the chicken? Who's the egg? Am I going to blame industry for catering to the 80%? So there is a shift coming, but again, with my experience, it took me till my mid 40s till I got data from my physician, who was not pushing me to stop smoking. He says, if you came in to me, Hans, and said, I can't breathe, I feel awful, I need to give up smoking, only then would I say, here, this is what you need to do. So I said to him, give me a reason. And the reason and the data was that at that age, my lung capacity was half of what had been normal for a person of my age. And then smoking is the most difficult thing to give up. So it took me 6 months to quit that habit. So it's not an easy thing to fight an addiction. Actually, interesting, yeah. I still sometimes have nightmares that I've started smoking again. But but it's a hard thing. Yeah. It's a, you know, to generate or to get a different habit, I hear you have 10,000 repetitions before you form a new habit.
Oh, those 10,000 repetitions were all the times I failed in stopping smoking.
Exactly.
I did the one that worked. No, I smoked for 40 years, from age 15 to 55. Yeah. And I can't remember how I stopped. I guess I was all out of ways to fail. and so it did. And then just a few months later, I discovered there was cancer on my larynx. But we got over that, and that's fine. So, but it was just a strange history. And I'm just glad I survived that. And my voice here still sounds like it, however.
Yeah, as soon as you try to speak up, then you see it. And I'm a voice coach, but with him as a student.
That's true.
Okay, but we can see out of that we should do differently. We have so much compassion with people who cannot do that, because we ourselves have a lot of the problems. Although we sort of promote the wisdom of being more conscious in these things. But as you said before, we always think, maybe it doesn't happen to me. I won't get older, and I won't die, and things. That's for other people. So that's the what is incarnate deception?
Deception.
Yeah, illusion also, yeah, which we are living in. So I think it's taking the knowledge first of all, and then the encouragement to really do that. And the best thing I have discovered is if you have a sort of group of people who keep you up when you are about to to say, yeah, okay. Sometimes I don't know the words. So thank you. Yeah. And I know with alcohol that is normal, no? The Alcoholics Anonymous.
Well, it's a great support for someone.
Yeah, but is it also alcohol, chocolate Anonymous, or is, I don't know, for all these little things, or the cell phone Anonymous, the addiction, that's not yet there. So, but it's all to be seen as a way, an unhealthy way of living our lives, and we need to step out in some way. So now I go to you. You want to ask him something.
I guess at this point, just another example of differences, because it's really easy to point the finger at the pharmaceutical industry, who are promoting, of course, their own interests, like any business does. But when there's reinforcement from health, from the way medicine is practiced, that we just throw drugs at illnesses. It sounds like almost collusion. I know 5 years ago, I came to Italy to live with her, and I brought with me my prescriptions from my Medicare experience in Florida. And they were for all the ordinary things that, hypertension, a tendency toward diabetes, acid reflux, and I'm forgetting 2 or 3, I'm sure now. And when I got here, she looked at that and she said, taking that stuff for, And I said, well, I think I need it. But I went on an experiment and didn't take anything. And very soon, all my numbers were completely normal. So there's this pressure, that forces money and resources and attention to go in certain directions. And how can we take that pressure and move it in perhaps ways that are appropriate now?
To have the courage to not do what the normal doctors say, for instance. What do you say about that?
So, these are all incredibly good points. And I think that you also said something very wise, Heidi. It's the empathy and the patience that we need to develop with people who, rather than say, you need to do this, you need to do that, they have the patience and the empathy to wait for the pain to change, to be less than the pain or of staying the same for all of us. And from a physician point of view, and this is something I've learned by interacting with lots of physicians as well, they, at least in America, they are the only, I think, healthcare professionals that carry liability insurance. Yeah. So now you're asking the physician to try something new and different and put his practice at risk. So if I was a physician and I wanted to be safe, and I empathized, really I empathized, I am not going to prescribe anything that's not standard of care. Because if it's not standard of care and something goes wrong, it most likely will have a court case that will bring me and my insurance company to court. So it's a very, these are all very interesting things to sort of consider of how we got to where we are. That doesn't mean that we can't change it. And physicians, if you look at the physicians in functional integrative medicine, there are a number of forums. One of the people that I really respect is Erminia Guarneri, who founded the Scripps Center for Integrative Medicine in La Jolla many years ago. So there are movements. There's a huge movement, also driven by physicians who went into the practice of caring rather than just prescribing, to get the tools with which to treat not only the acute issue that the patient is coming in with, because if I come into you and you're my physician and I'm in pain, I want you to stop that pain right now. It's not going to help me to have you say, well, now just breathe and maybe tomorrow or the day after the pain will subside. I want it right now. Yeah. So it is the movement I've seen over the last 7 years is moving and it's gathering momentum. It will continue to gather momentum. And it's always a case in our human society or in our human condition when things get really, really, really bad, then we decide to make the change.
This is the sad thing, no? That first we have to go through this pain before we can transform into a new level of being. That seems to be not to be able to be done only by the mind and deciding. And it must, you have to go through the whole process, it seems to be.
Yeah, I don't know always, what our audience really understands about, for example, functional medicine in relationship in contrast to the concept involved in standards of care that you talked about a couple minutes ago. These are different approaches to medicine, and I wonder if you could spend a little time telling us the basics of these.
Well, again, I will admit that I am no expert in functional integrative medicine. My understanding of it is in contrast to the allopathic model, where you're treating with a drug or you're treating with an intervention. Functional integrative medicine also has a treatment schedule, but it is more focused on those lifestyle choices. And actually what's really interesting is many years ago when I started this journey, there was a clear center of health clinic up in Mill Valley, and their mission was to bring together the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual trilogy.
Hooray!
and I think I would put that under the umbrella of functional medicine, because it is that. If I'm privileged to have lived a large part of my life in the beauty that my dear wife Jacqueline Lavenue paints and creates. And many years ago, she had taught me that it's not only what we eat, what we think, and what we feel, but also what we put into our surroundings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that, you probably saw that little clip that Albert posted on our Facebook group about nature, how the brain resets when we connect with forests and nature. So it's not woo-wee. We grew up, we evolved in nature, and we do well to return to it on a regular basis. put your hand in the dirt, because that's where you're going to end up eventually, back in the dirt.
This is one thing, and we do our best. We are here in the middle of nature, but the other
Our house is filthy. Okay.
all right, we have 10 hectares of ground around. The other thing, what I think you were also talking about, is aesthetics.
Mhm.
You know, a certain amount of beauty would be good. And when you look around, for instance, in Italy, there is still so many beautiful things. And then you go to the industrial areas and it's ugly. And if you have to live in a surrounding which is like this, or the big cities, the modern big cities, very little architecture which could pass as having aesthetic. Most of it is bang, 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 and even gray and no strange colors. So we seem in our modern age have lost the sense of proportion, of color, of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a wife who is a painter, no? And you can tell what it means to be surrounded by beautiful things.
And it comes back, and I came to it late in life, but it comes back to what you were saying at the beginning, just around the health choices. If you have it in your family tradition, if you have it in your mother, and again, you know, women carry a huge responsibility for the evolution of our species. And here's another thing on top of that that they can carry and educate their people to appreciate. There was one lady, she's a poet, who came into Jacqueline's gallery many years ago, and of all the people who've come in, she was the person who could most clearly articulate the feelings that the beauty that Jacqueline creates affected on her. Because, as you point out, as you know, it's very hard to articulate feelings. They're not part of the cerebral cortex that understands language and logic. They're in that limbic system. And that, honestly, I think beauty is not, or art cannot be, a discretionary accessory. It is an essential, critical component to how we feed our soul, whatever you define the soul to be, and how we take refuge there, how we heal there, you know, from the ugliness or whatever there is in life. And so and actually, if you think of it, there's a wonderful article in 2012 in the American Institute for Architecture talking about salutogenics in design, in architectural design. And it's clearly, with the clinical data that's there in that quoted in the article, we heal quicker if we're surrounded by beauty.
Of course.
So why would we not stay well by applying the same principle? And that goes, I think, not only to the physical beauty, but also to the relationship beauty that we have.
Absolutely.
You
And
know,
still it is undervalued, no? The schools still shut down music teaching and art teaching because it's considered sort of, we don't really need it. It's only mathematics and all these things you put into your your head. As if this knowledge wasn't out there. Educational system is still like, I don't know how many decades ago. And we have enough evidence that's not the continuous feeding with facts or numbers or whatever it is for the mind. That is, it tempts me to tell you a story about Alfred Tomis. I don't know if you know him. He is known by the Mozart Effect. And he is said to have 7 years study in Canadian schools where they had every day a musical instrument 1 hour in one class, and the other, the control class, not. So actually 6 days a week, they had less material, how do you say?
Hard science.
Hard science and stuff, lessons. So they missed out on 6 hours of teachings, you know, but they studied music. And at the end, every year, 7 years long, the exams were much better by the people who did the music. So the knowledge is, you know, clear, it's out, but schools do as if they didn't know. I mean, there are very few in Berlin. It's a school who is doing things differently. There are few who find the way to, or the Montessori, we know about those. But generally, the system is still in a different way. And as going back to old age and aging and prevention, I mean, this is highly connected.
Sorry, I didn't get the last question. You just
how can we connect this knowledge about when we engage in not only mental stuff but also in arts and music and the right brain things, that we live much, and even our results of what we are doing are better. So we are trying to be not, how do you say, did you say at the beginning, be healthy and dilate or something? How can we use this message? So I would say people need to sing. You know, I'm a singer. So.
And before you answer that, I want to say that we have a personal interest in this, because I have worked in some
The cat went over the keyboard. We were muted.
Oh,
so
okay.
So I think you have to begin again.
Okay. Yeah, because we do have a personal interest in this. I don't want to end up in one of these sterile rest homes, old people's homes. Or I don't know what the actual current title is. There's a lot of euphemisms to make them sound better than they are. And they usually say have words like golden in them. and I work there. It's terrible, you know.
Have you read that wonderful New York Times article about the island where people forget to die?
Well, no, but I'm intrigued by the title.
So to incorporate that art and music, and because you reminded me of another study that I saw come up on my Facebook feed about how the brain, all of the brain is engaged with music, more so than just parts of the brain when you're studying other things. So the whole brain gets activated. But the island where people forget to die is a wonderful examination of, and also a validation for what Dean Ornish said in that interview, 2009. There are only 4 ways that we live healthily, or we preserve our youth and our health: nutrition, stress management, moderate exercise, and the psychosocial support of youth. Yeah. And in that island, if you read the article, that's what they do. Every evening they get together with their ouzo and they sing and they drink. They have fun. And that is a way of incorporating, at least one possible way of incorporating that into our lives.
Is this a model for us to live together in such a way?
You know, I talked to a retired cardiologist at a convention, anti-aging convention in October, and there are some really startling statistics that I got from a retirement seminar about retired men in America. The highest suicide rate is for retired men in their 70s.
Yeah.
The highest divorce rate is for couples in their 60s. And the average television time for men, retired men, is 9 hours of TV per day. And the cardiologist pointed out something really very, very important. Women always have that network of friends that they plug into. But for the working male, their friends are really mostly associated with the workplace. And when they retire, that psychosocial support is gone.
Mhm.
And then they take refuge in front of the TV. But what they should be doing is engaging with friends that they knew and grew up with. Sorry about the dog.
Okay.
But I think therein lies one way. That's why I play golf, and I meet people at golf, and we have fun and we laugh. You know, there's there was The Anatomy of an Illness is a book that Norman Cousins wrote. He was in the 80s. He was one of the first people who were treating, helping his friends who were dying from HIV/AIDS in New York. And then later on, he himself had a terrible accident where he became paralyzed, but also painful. And he pointed out that a good 10 minutes of laughter allowed him to deal with an hour of pain. We need to keep those good people around us that
Or
help
do
us.
after yoga.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know that there are studies who show how much laughter brings up all the energies in the body. So that's and you feel it intuitively.
That's my job. That's my job. Yeah.
To make me laugh.
Yes.
Anyway. Okay.
But you know, we're not out of time yet, but we're kind of wandering around many ways, and I wanted to make sure that you got a chance to bring up anything that you're interested in. I know that you're now involved in a business. You're not working for somebody else, and you have this product called New Skin, which this must bring out all kinds of.
I need a new skin.
Well, all right, okay, but regardless of the product, this asks you to do things that perhaps you've never had to do before, as an entrepreneur.
I think you bring up a very good point, Mark. And again, you know, if we were born with the knowledge, we would live a different life. But knowledge is not genetically programmed into our book of life. But as George Bernard Shaw once said, the fool learns from his own mistakes, the wise man from the mistakes of others. And I have been a fool all my life. So I had to make the mistakes multiple times to make sure that they are mistakes. But I think one lesson is, and it's trite to use these kind of little phrases, but the realization that to own your life, you need to own your own business. Actually, another wonderful quote is from Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, where the character says, the only thing you have in life is what you can sell. And the funny thing is, you're a salesperson and you don't even know it. And Daniel Pink used that as a quote to introduction to his book, To Sell is Human. So we're all selling. Excuse me for a second. Let me just. Sorry, that just came in. So to try to answer your question more directly, yes, when I retired from Pfizer, it was not for me an option at that age to go back into the workforce because I would be overqualified. So I went to look for a business, and there are many business vehicles that we can choose, and all of them require investment, some more and some less. And the business vehicle that I've chosen is an industry that's much maligned. It's called network marketing, but it gives, like in the 50s, Amway would say, it's a business for the common man, where you can do it with little investment, money investment, but with, your time, equity. And I was lucky again, after 2 years wandering in the wilderness, to find this partner. So while they are my partner, I am not New Skin. I am Reset Aging with Science, and their portfolio, their research, just like when I was at Pfizer or when I was at Agaron, when I was at Scripps, they are scientists that push the envelope about on what it is, what are the things that we know about youthful aging. Okay. So I feel that application and sharing that knowledge, being, I would say, your business, we should be rewarded commensurate to the impact that we have in life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let me understand, try to understand. Are you selling? What are you selling?
So I'm an independent distributor for New Skin Formanex products. That is beauty on the inside and the outside. Going back to
more about that.
So going back to the original question around the scanner. So the scanner is a proprietary technology that New Skin owns the patents on. They didn't develop it, but it is a proprietary technology that allows them to differentiate and to measure and monitor the bioavailability of their nutritional products. That's the core of my business, because I can sell you face creams, and I can sell you things that will make your face look better, but it's hard to look good if you're sick on the inside. So, and that's the harder conversation to have. Sure. Because we all believe we don't need our vitamin supplements. We don't, we should be able to get it from our food. And I did exactly the same. I thought exactly the same. We all think. There's another very wonderful quote from, and I'm a book of quotes that shows I'm not very original, but I think it was Bertrand Russell said, most people think that they are thinking when all they're doing is rearranging their prejudices. I have rearranged my prejudices all my life. So it is the realization that 20 years ago my physician told me you need to supplement, and I said, no, Dr. Bad, I will get it from my food, but we don't get it from our food.
Yeah, and less from our food all the time.
And so we always learn the hard way, but to have, again, to be able to have something that can provide the motivation for people to make those difficult lifestyle changes. That's what I have with this technology. And my challenge is to make that real, like the example of the apple. How fast are you rusting on the inside? Mm-hmm. And actually, do you even care? If you have grandchildren, do you care to see them grow old? Or if you're an overweight parent, do you care to be able to play with your children? And all of those things, as long as we know we can do something about it.
And at this point, I would like to ask you, can you share how people can get in contact with you? So
they can connect with me on Facebook, or they can like my page, Reset Aging with Science. They can private message me on Facebook. There's contact information on Reset Aging with Science as well. I also have 2 other Facebook group pages I manage, and they're welcome to join those. One is called the Skin Carotenoid Score Campaign. It's a closed group, but everyone can see and everyone can ask to join. And then the other one that I'm really honored to have Mark and you as join as well, which is Friends of Health, Proactive Prevention and Youthful Aging. They're all very short names that you can remember very easily.
Yeah, and you know what? We don't have the tagline here anymore in Google Hangouts. Your name, can you spell it? First pronounce it well, spell it, so even when we do a podcast, people know who you are.
So my name is Hans, H-A-N-S, and my last name is Parge, pronounced in the German way, or Parge, like large, but spelled with a P. For the English-speaking people. So, okay. Is that okay?
This is perfect. Yeah, and we can add that Mark has the Facebook group in Masterminding Integral Aging, and he is busy responding to all questions, and we are also very, very available for your questions.
Yes, responding to all questions, not answering all.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
This is the English incapacity of me, that sometimes I get the wrong.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, and I myself, I'm very, very, very happy if you connect with me on Google+. And as you know, I'm more in the interiors, and I'm happy to help with problems of overcoming obstacles and things like this. And yeah, my name on Google+ is Adelheid Hörnlein, Adelheid, and then H-O, German umlaut, the two little points on that, and then R-N-L-E-I-N. And please connect with me. And we have also a group there, the Wisdom Factory.
Oh, yes.
And the website, the wisdomfactory.net. You will find everything which we are doing. We have done other broadcasts before about stop the relationship.
Yeah.
That was the last one. And wisdom technologies. And you find already many of the replays there. I'm busy working on it to fill the site.
Yeah, but this is the one that will get you in touch with everything we're doing.
But we are doing just now, because this is the home of the broadcast series. Yeah. So we are almost at the time, and I would like to ask Hans what he wants to share, where he really doesn't want to go away without having said that.
Come on, say that again, love.
Maybe this is distorted. Say you in English.
She was saying, I want to give Hans a chance to ask the one thing that he hasn't gotten around to, but really wants to ask.
Before we stop.
I think we've covered everything, honestly, and I'm really, really grateful to have been given the opportunity to have this wonderful conversation. I would ask you all to go and find one of the machines and determine your own skin carotenoid score, and do so on a monthly basis, and make the appropriate changes in your health, in your health choices of eating, to keep you living in the blue zone. That would be my ask of everyone.
So, and my ask back is, could you send me the information where people can find it, and then I post it on your personal page and the wisdomfactory.net, all these informations where people can find it. It will be there, let's say, Monday, Tuesday, so everybody can see it there.
Okay.
I think it would be the best way, so we collect it all together. And this page will be on, you can see the replay there, will be on forever, hopefully. So everybody can come back, listen to it again, or suggest to other people to the replay. And thank you, everybody in the audience, that you were here with us. And to you, Hans, it was really a big pleasure.
Oh, really great. I didn't really know what to expect, but after speaking with you a couple of days ago, I knew it wasn't going to be a problem. So,
because he was frightened, because all of your academic papers, 2 or 3 pages full of titles, and he said, oh God, can we speak to this person? We don't have academic publications, you know, we felt a little bit, but it went well. Thank you very much.
I'm very grateful. Thank you so much, folks.
Thank you. And we invite everybody who is watching. We are going over to Masterminding Integral Aging Facebook group, and there will be the possibility to come to a chat with us. Give me 10 minutes or so, and we will be there. The links will be posted, how to watch, and also how to come in and talk on camera live. Okay, thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Hans.